to all you guys out there. It's because of you we can do these amazing sessions. Thank you for joining. I hope that your morning will be fruitful. And I always say, if you can take something that is really key away here this morning, then we've achieved our objective at the NSBC. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mike Anderson. I head the organization. I'm very proud to host Donovan this morning. I love these sessions. And Donovan Manuel, a big welcome to you this morning. Donovan is the CEO of Link-Up ICT. Donovan, thank you for joining us and taking out your time this morning.
Good morning, Mike. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Absolutely. I know you've got amazing insights chatting to you offline earlier and on our test yesterday with Leanne and Alicia. They've really given me some insight, and so I'm also looking forward to it. You know, Donovan, you don't know this, but I'm not the most technologically advanced person on earth, but I love embracing technology. And I think without technology over the past 2.5 years, I don't believe many of us would have survived. So I love the solutions. I love what it can do for us. And but of course, when it comes to the technical language, I'm a little bit behind. Maybe it's because of my age, but we won't get into that at the moment, Donovan. But Donovan, before we kick off, if you don't mind me, if you can give me a bit of insight about yourself and your business.
Thank you, Mike. Good morning, everyone. I'm Donovan Manuel. I'm an entrepreneur and business professional with strong focus on ICT management and strategy. Link-Up ICT is a managed services technology provider. We provide IT services, Microsoft Office 365, cloud services, cybersecurity, along with penetration testing and vulnerability assessments. Our managed services extend to network and Wi-Fi management, telephony, connectivity, and print services. In a nutshell, we handle technology end-to-end for our customers and small businesses.
Great. Yeah, and Donovan, also just coming back to these webinars, you know, we've had over the past 2 years, we've brought a lot of small businesses into the spotlight and helped them get ahead. You know, these webinar Wednesdays aren't designed just for the big players out there, but also for small people out there who are going places, SMEs on the move, who are run by people like yourself, who have amazing insights. So we've had the privilege over the past 2 years and a bit to really bring SMEs into the spotlight and help them get ahead through these webinars. So it's been also very rewarding to do that. And I know you're an entrepreneur and you run an SME. And as you know and I know, we spoke offline, it's challenging out there. And you know, too few SMEs survive the first 1,000 days. And that's why we exist. You know, we exist to really foster the growth and sustainability of the SME sector with the ultimate aim of alleviating unemployment and driving job creation. So to you, Donovan, thank you for what you do. And of course, with your solutions, helping SMEs out there, giving them that extra edge to stay there and build. And Donovan, I've got a couple of key questions here I'm going to run through this morning. And I say to the audience out there as well, please, if you've got any questions that you'd like to put forward to Donovan, please pop them onto the chat. Depending on the speed, I often don't pick many up, but I will certainly try my best to do that. Donovan, where does the responsibility for the security of Microsoft begin and end? And before you answer that question, I would also like to thank Microsoft for being the major player behind this webinar this morning, and of course identifying you as a major player out there, Donovan. So to Microsoft, thank you very much for bringing, of course, Link-Up ICT this morning, and the CEO and co-founder Donovan Manuel, and we appreciate your efforts to Microsoft. So let me ask that question again, Donovan. Where does the responsibility for the security of Microsoft begin and end?
So, Mike, cybersecurity is a very big conversation at the moment. I think it's every month, if not weekly, we're seeing headlines in the news about data breaches and cyber attacks with large companies in South Africa. And I think the important thing to note is when you're looking at a data breach and the information that the attackers are taking are your names, your emails, your contact details, your addresses, the bank that you use, the vehicle that you financed, it lends itself to a very concerning fact that the target is you, not the retail that's recently been hacked. And that's why it's very important that we understand and we become more cyber resilient through understanding sort of the risks that could be there. So awareness is a very important factor. And you can't solve cybersecurity simply with one product or one solution or just Microsoft, for example. So You've got to look at it almost, if you look at you securing your house, you putting up high walls, you're putting up a gate, you're putting electric fencing, you've got CCTV cameras, alarm systems, security gates. So you've got these multiple layers of security that you're putting in your home. Cybersecurity is the same. You need to look at multiple layers to address different aspects in order to increase your resiliency and to prevent attacks in your organization. Hackers generally are pretty lazy. They're looking for the easiest route. So the more protection you put in place, the better. And where Microsoft comes in is they take control of the application layer. So if you look at us all from a software perspective, we all use Microsoft 365. We're using emails, we're using Word and PowerPoint, Excel, etc. And when you're looking specifically around Business Central, which is what we're talking a lot about today, is they are responsible for the infrastructure, for the systems, ensuring that the uptime is there. And there's a shared responsibility for the business owner, for the user accessing the applications. So, for example, if they're looking after the infrastructure and ensuring the uptime, you're responsible for access control. So take, for example, you've got this house with all the security, but if you give somebody the keys, they can disable your alarm system, they can open up your gate, and they can unlock your doors. So it's very important that you protect the key to these applications. When Microsoft looks at the supporting of the technology, they'll ensure that there's data replication and redundancy, but your responsibility is to ensure that that's backed up. So you need to keep backups in place in order to restore data in the event of either a system failure or an attack. When you're looking at security specifically, Microsoft will handle the physical security, the logical security, the application layer of the security. But your responsibility is to ensure that you address malicious insiders, employee retaliation, evidence tampering, for example. Then you've got the external, which is mitigating malware attacks, hacking attempts, rogue applications on your network, etc. So you've got to manage these policies and controls within your organization. Then you've got the role as the processor from a governance perspective. So Microsoft handles a lot of your governance because they're keeping your information and your documents within the system. But your responsibility is how do you handle that information? How do you receive it and how do you import it into the systems so that you're compliant with local regulators? And POPIA is a big conversation topic as well at the moment. So where Microsoft comes in and ends is really between those two. They've handled a large portion of the cybersecurity, but there's a big responsibility for the end user as well.
Yeah, and looking, I mean, over the past years, but even the past few months, I mean, these hackers are holding these major brands to ransom. I mean, $1 million payouts. Look, a lot of the big companies have a policy they won't pay a ransom, and I fully understand, I agree with that. But what the big trend is coming, and you probably know this more than I do, Donovan, is that now these hackers are zeroing in on the SME market throughout the world. And generally, we know for most SMEs, they don't have that $1 million ransom to pay, and business closure is imminent. So we also, from our side, we've seen the rise. We're getting the insights globally that more and more and more SMEs are being hacked and held to ransom. And I can't emphasize more than really we must all, as an SME, take a hard look at this and make sure we can do the utmost to ensure that we are secure in our business environment. Because yes, I mean, look at TransUnion. I mean, these guys have got amazing security in place. So everyone is vulnerable to attack. But we've got to really, like you say, put a lot of effort into this and really understand the systems are out there, but we must make it happen from an SME environment. So it's a huge area, and it's going to become it's more talk of the day now than ever before. But it's certainly on the upswing, and it's not going to end. It's not going to end soon. Now, Donovan, where does Link-Up ICT come in?
So, as Mark, as you mentioned, there's a recent study. South Africa is one of the sixth highest attacked country in the world. So it definitely is something that we need to be a little bit more aware of. And where Link-Up comes in is we tackle certain pillars within your business. So you've obviously got the edge, which we talk about sort of access and connectivity, firewall implementations and policies so that you can protect the business at the point of entry. And then we look at your local area network, your infrastructure, your Wi-Fi network. So are your networks configured efficiently? Have you got virtual LANs in place so that you can separate data and you separate Wi-Fi, guest Wi-Fi, etc.? So you've got to look at those aspects as well. Then you've got your electronic workplace equipment, and that's your laptops, your desktops, printers on your networks, cameras systems, IoT devices, as well as your mobile devices. So everyone's walking around with mobile phones and tablets. How do you manage those access throughout? And for your business, you need to ensure that you have the right software in place. So you're not running Windows 7, for example, which is no longer supported by Microsoft. That's a very big security risk, just simply a simple thing that you can do there. You are implementing endpoint protection, such as antivirus or endpoint detection response software. Then you've also got, Microsoft's got a great product called Microsoft Intune so that you can manage policies and access. So there's various different tools that you can do to manage the devices coming into your network. But we feel that the most important aspect is the human firewall. And I've written a lot about this, is the impact of cybersecurity from a business perspective is one element, but it spills over into your personal life. It spills over into your family. We don't all realize that. We need to take cybersecurity in the workplace seriously, because it can impact ourselves personally. So your family information could become vulnerable. You could give access to your business, not to your personal bank account, and lose your life savings. So you've got to be vigilant. So when we deal with our customers, we talk about the human firewall, and that's around informing them of cyber alerts, recent cyber attacks, creating a cyber culture, which shouldn't just be within the business, but as business leaders, we need to start that conversation with our staff, with our family at home, and we need to make people more aware about the risks. And then obviously you've got the tools that we can implement to simulate phishing attacks, to create awareness. There's training involved, there's policies and procedures so that you can mitigate access or manage access, have disaster recovery plans in place, all of that sort of thing. But Mike, I know that's where Link-Up potentially comes in, but there's so much that the business owner can do straight away, that the individual can do straight away. There's so many resources. The cybersecurity community, we're giving this stuff away because we want, as we talk about the culture, we want the whole world to know about it, because elements of security can filter from unknown actors that or a customer that comes into your network. So the wider the spread and the information, the more important. So there's lots of free resources available. There's templates for policies and plans in place. I think the only element that we could really add is we help you to identify the gaps and to address the specific gaps, and really focus around awareness. And we'll share some stuff that you're going to share across, but we've created some infographics that we would like you to use. There's immediate small little steps that make a big difference, that don't even cost you money. So understanding password policies, identifying potential attacks. So we'll share these infographics with you, print them out, share them with your family and your work colleagues, stick them up on the wall, but educate people around you. With these basic tips that we've given you, they won't cost you a cent. You've just got to manage them properly and take advantage of it.
Yeah, I know that's hugely important. And, everyone always, won't happen to me. And next thing is, like you say, it can affect your business and your family and your savings. And then there's a point of no return. And like you say, these tips that you have are free, they're available, and you can make a massive difference right now. And I think that we have to take that seriously and just make that happen before possibly it could be too late. It's a negative connotation, but it's a realistic one. So we need to take action and do that. Now, Donovan, what attracted you to Business Central?
So Business Central, it was quite a long journey for us. We have a lot of challenges, and it might help to explain the capabilities of Business Central by sharing some of the challenges we were facing as a business. And sort of off the bat, we use very smart technology to manage our customers' IT and to provide services. But in our own back end and back office, we were using multiple systems. So for example, we were using a contract management system to manage our contract and our billing. We were using an accounting software to obviously correlate everything and provide financial management. We had a help desk software. We were creating manual job cards that our customers would sign off. And then quoting and sales, we were all using Word documents and Excels to create professional proposals on that. And as you can see, there's a very big disconnect between all those systems. So they're not talking to each other and they're not providing the data across the platform. And worse off, we're logging into different applications all the time. So our goal was to find something that we could log into on a single platform, have access to various information throughout the organization and different departments, so that we could have ease of use, eliminate errors, especially from data capturing between systems. Sometimes when you know what it's like, you're working fast, you might put an extra digit or you might swap some digits around. That becomes unprofessional because now you're issuing out credit notes so that you can correct your billing. So those sort of elements are very important to eliminate. And by capturing the right information from the start, that information is carried through every department efficiently. So you eliminate those errors and you can start to implement automation and simplify your processes. Another big challenge that we had was financial and contract management. So yeah, I'm sure all my colleagues out here today, they would say, so we've got a great accounting team. They're gathering all the information from our accounting software, and then they're trying to present it in a way that all of the executives can understand, so we can understand what our cash flow looks like, what our turnover is looking like, what our debtors and creditors are looking like. And we were having that conversation halfway towards the end of the following month. So for example, now around the 18th of this month, we would be sitting with our financials for last month. And that became a concern for us because in order to be agile and in order to move efficiently, especially post-pandemic, with supply chain issues across the world, we needing to be a lot more efficient with our cash flow management, with our order processes. So in order to do that, we needed live data. We needed actionable insights that we could see today and not in 2 or 3 weeks' time or next month. And the system really allows us to do that. There's lots of data analytics that it pulls up, nice, beautiful graphs so that I can understand them because I'm not an accountant. So I can see quickly with a pie chart where we are with the business, what forecasts are coming through, and where we are in our service lifecycle management. We also have a very large field service component. So our engineers are traveling to customers, we're visiting customers, and we were finding inefficiencies around invoicing, loss of revenue because we weren't invoicing all of the hours for the labor that we were potentially charging, and data collection so that we could revert back to it on our help desk so that we can service our customers more efficiently, to resolve problems more efficiently. That was a challenge because we're using all these different systems and manual job cards. So the field service capabilities within Microsoft really is exciting for us because we have applications that our technicians will use. They arrive on site and they can clock in the moment that they're on site. They can take a photograph and take notes of either the collection of a damaged laptops or fixing up a cabinet, customer cabinet. We can take before and after photos. We can make notes to the ticket, and then the customer will be able to sign it digitally and see all the necessary information available. The exciting part about that is we built an automation that the moment the technician leaves, it will reference the time spent on site with the service level agreement with the customer, and bill the additional hours if needed or allocated under the service level agreement. And that's automatic. So now we're not sitting on a Friday looking at all the job cards and doing manual invoicing. It's taken out that labor-intensive element and just automated the process. But access to that data is exciting because now we've got access to data throughout the process. We can see, pull the references, we can see the photographs from previous call-outs, and then we can service the customer a lot more efficiently. So the field service was quite an exciting thing for us. And then, as we all know, especially when you're trying to grow a business, and especially we've had a lot of fast growth in our business, and we started to find customer relationship management becoming a challenge. So the CRM built into Business Central allows you to address customer relationship management, reminders and tasks, so that you don't lose out on opportunities and you can deliver a more efficient service to your customers. So it's a lot of challenges that we were trying to resolve, and that's what attracted us to Business Central, because we were able to do all of this within one system.
That's streamlined. Thanks, Donovan. Great insight for that. Appreciate it. You know, many of my talks that I do, Donovan, I often talk about know your numbers every day. You know, your bank balance, your creditors, your debtors, your pending deals, updated every day. You need to know where you are every day. And I think that, like you just touched on that as well, you know, not what you did 2 months ago, but what you're doing every day, so you can make changes if you need to do that. So thank you for that. All right, Donovan, what are some of the driving, contributing factors that made you choose Business Central for your business?
So naturally, we went out, being a technology provider, we understand different technologies. So we went out into the market, we looked at all the local service providers that were available and software that were available. We looked a little bit more abroad, and we saw what was new and trending, what the big startups are doing. And there's a lot of exciting stuff out there. But what drew us to Microsoft and Business Central is naturally we are already using a lot of Microsoft services. And if you look at the Microsoft Dataverse, as they call it now, that's the sort of allocation or seamless integration between different applications. So if I'm using Microsoft Teams or Outlook, I can use Business Central in those platforms and quickly action or execute or create a quote from my Outlook instead of logging into Business Central. So that integration between different applications was important for us, because again, we're trying to avoid having to log into different applications all the time. The other side of it was we also looked at cost. Implementation cost is generally prohibitive when looking at an ERP system. You're looking at the ease of use, and it's the user interface from Business Central was it's intuitive. You can easily navigate around. You can easily see basic information without having to spend hours and study a new system almost as a degree, which some systems require you to do. It's also a lot of software out there is off the shelf, and that means that you are stuck with the software's development lifecycle. And what we liked about Business Central was that as for small business, Business Central has the foundations, but you can start to expand on that if inventory or manufacturing or marketing is more important to you. You can start to add modules onto your system. And we can also add automation and some of our own customized development. So that means I can solve problems specific to my business without having to now go again through the exercise in 5 years' time because we've got a new challenge that we need to solve. I can actually just customize our Business Central software to address that small challenge instead of going through a whole replacement exercise. So that's what made us choose it. And also having a look at Microsoft's Power Apps, Power Business Intelligence, and Power Automate, we can automate a lot of sort of functions in between applications that we use day to day through Business Central without having to get a user involved. And that was important to us at the end of the day.
Okay. And welcome, Alice. I know you said you're late and you apologize. No need to do that. Please note that this recording is available after the session and we will send that to you. So thank you for being part of the webinar this morning. And then, of course, Donovan, now how does Business Central compare with your previous solution?
So I mentioned we had multiple different systems and all of them have different levels of development where they've been through their own development lifecycle. Our contract management system was built in 2008. To give you an example, Facebook was built then, and they hadn't done any significant updates to the system in 10 years. And when we started asking about cloud access because we were having to host that software locally, talking about automation and talking about simplification. So the process was rather rigid. To generate an invoice or a purchase order would take us 15, 20 minutes. And we don't have the time for that. We've got a lot of other work that we need to get done. So to sit stuck in a system the whole time to allocate is generally the problems that you have with these legacy systems. And in order to update that, you've got to go through the same exercise. So we looked at our 5-year and our 10-year strategy. Where do we want to be as a business? What type of service do we want to deliver? And when you look at Microsoft and what they're developing out in the market, looking at HoloLens, for example, do yourself a favor, YouTube HoloLens, some exciting augmented reality there. That could increase sort of our field service capabilities in the future, where you wearing a helmet and our senior engineers can be sitting at home and servicing our customers with a junior engineer on site. For training, it would be able to adjust and point users in the right direction. So there's very exciting stuff in the larger Microsoft universe, if you want to call it. And we wanted to choose a platform that would allow us to go into the future, so that we don't have to do this exercise again. It takes a lot of time and effort to change systems. So you don't want to be doing it every 5 years or every 3 years, for example, if technology changes as quickly as it does today.
Okay, yeah, I know 100%. You know, I know a lot of these platforms, you've got to keep adapting and changing. And as a business owner, we've got to do everything out there. So keep it simple and, of course, keep it updated and of course, effective. So thank you for that. Donovan, why did you choose Novertica SA to be your preferred implementation partner?
So as a Microsoft house ourselves, we understand the complexity around applications, and we were only familiar with the Microsoft 365 environment and SharePoint. So it's important that we partnered with the right implementation partner that had experience. And what drew us to Novertica is they've been in the space for 30 years. So they had a lot of experience to bring and a lot of guidance to give us. They also had a lot of development because they've been dealing in the space so long, and they've got different customers across different verticals. They had a lot of off-the-shelf sort of development that they could plug into Dynamics to speed up the process. So we weren't customizing things from scratch and then that life cycle would take longer. We actually just took advantage of their contract management adjustments that they've made for Business Central, for example. So they use plugins were great for us, and that's what drew us to them ultimately. They also have, like us, a big focus on small business, and they've trying to make it accessible because, you know, one of the biggest challenges we have in the ICT space is we're trying to bring enterprise solutions because those are the big companies have the budgets and the money and the resources to implement. And we always try to bring those resources and make them accessible to small and medium businesses. And they have a similar mindset. So it matched our value system, and they're trying to provide Business Central and implement it for small businesses across the board, and that we were aligned with. So it was a good fit for us.
Great. Donovan Manuel, that was interesting. The comments are great coming through, and I know many are going to really value the replay because they're important insights. So Donovan, CEO of Link-Up ICT, thank you for your time. We really appreciate your insights, specifically also being in an SME, and you understand what's needed. And of course, thank you for that. I appreciate your time. Donovan, any closing words that you have for our audience?
Mark, thank you very much for today, and I wish all my fellow entrepreneurs and business owners luck. It's an exciting journey to go on when you change systems. Just make sure that you plan it properly and that you allocate the right time towards it. Otherwise, you can just extend the life cycle or the implementation process. Feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to share advice. I hope the infographics that we give you on the cybersecurity, just to emphasize on that, use them, share them with your staff, educate your staff on them. Small steps that everybody takes will be great, and wish you all the best.
Thank you for those words, Donovan. And to our audience out there, to our business owners, entrepreneurs, and many aspiring entrepreneurs. Thank you for being part of us this morning. As I said before, and always, it's because of you people we can do what we do. And we hope that you've taken some key insights out of this morning and bring them into your personal lives and into your business. And I hope that will make a difference. So we are truly grateful for you attending this morning. And please stay close to the NSBC. We've got amazing events coming up. People also ask me now, when are we bringing our physical events back? Whatever we do at the NSBC is based on the needs and the wants of you guys out there. And our surveys will tell us when the time will come when we start bringing back physical events. Right now, the market is not quite ready. So we will continue with what we're doing. But certainly in time, I think the big combination, the big way forward is combined virtual and physical events. But in the meantime, stay with us. We've got exciting things coming up, new developments coming up. Great speakers in line on new webinars coming up. So we look forward to your return, and have a great Wednesday and, of course, week ahead. And thank you once again. All the best to you all. Thank you, Donovan. Take care.